It is nice to meet you on the path. This episode is called Come Fly With Me. Today, I went to, it's called Eagle Creek Park. It's like the third largest city park in the country. And I met some friends there, and we were playing around out in the woods and walking around the lake, and we were climbing trees, and some people practicing handstands and doing some just different tricks. We just kind of like go with the flow and do these different things. And a newer friend of ours came. I guess it's okay to say people's names. Sometimes if I get too controversial, too private or something, then I don't talk about people's names. But her name is Bronte, and I got a hold of her originally to ask her to take some pictures. She's a really good photographer, and we have a program coming up at White Pine Wilderness Academy, and so I asked her to take pictures of the instructors for that. And I had seen some of her pictures, and we had some mutual friends, and so we did that. And then she was talking about going out to take some more pictures, and it's like, well, have this group of friends that goes out and messes around out in the woods, and you're more than welcome. And so she came with out there with us, and it was really cool. And sometimes I had like it's hard to explain, like kind of sometimes my blood will get to flowing, and the adrenaline starts kicking in, and I'm feeling like I can be really explosive and dynamic. And then other times feel like just a little more introspective, I guess. And I'd say it was more like one of those days. I did some decent lifts with some rocks, and I did a lot of watching too. And it was maybe part of it is, I guess, some of what I have going on in my life situation, some like a little more, some challenges I'm working through, some different things, which I won't get into. But so it was like nothing to do with who I was with. I love all my friends; they're awesome. And then new people that come along, and it was really cool. And it was fun. I'm not trying to say I wasn't having a good time. I don't know quite how to explain it. There was like just a slight feeling of like discontent. I was with the people I wanted to be with, at a place I wanted to be, perfect weather, all kinds of fun. Nobody got hurt. That's always a good thing. And so, like JP and his daughter had to leave about 2:00. We all met about noon. Some people got there a little after, and so they had to leave after a couple hours. And then there was Ethan, Joey, Bronte, and me walking around for a while, and we were doing what we do. But I kept having like I don't know how to explain. I guess like just some other stuff going on that maybe I was having a hard time leaving away. But so they all left about 4:00, and I decided to stay for. I didn't know how much longer I was going to stay. I ended up staying for about another hour out in the woods. I went and walked around and messed around on a little bit of stuff, and went and just kind of like sat on this tree that fell over this little creek, and I just went and sat on it for a little while. And part of what I was doing was like, I usually do my podcast on Sunday nights and sometimes other nights, but Sunday night is like, the night people can pretty much count on me to get one out. And I didn't know what I was going to talk about. And it's like, yeah, I can talk about, going with the friends in the woods, and it's always fun. It's always just these just like peak experiences. It's always so cool. Such an awesome group of friends. It's like, that's like, I probably will talk about that, but what's there's always like some kind of like theme that I'm working through in my mind, and I'm something to, it almost becomes like, once I have it, then it's like this instant download, and I don't know everything that I'm going to say, but I know that I'm ready to do it. And so I was putting the pictures of everyone on Instagram, and I was, there's some where started out, and like JP is doing some handstands, and he's getting some coaching for that, and we all coach each other on different stuff. Try this, try that, don't do that, kind of thing. And I was kind of like just fading back, and I wanted to get a picture of everybody, and without them knowing I was taking it. And then what was I saying? Well, before that, before anybody showed up, oh, I remember where it was. I'm sorry. So I was posting these pictures on Instagram, and I'm still not sure. And I'm like, oh, I guess I won't even do a show tonight because I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. And then I saw it, and it was the instant download of what I'll be doing. See, when I first got there, I was there about a half hour early, and I walked around a little bit, and then I went up. We met at the Ornithology Center, and they have 3 birds outside. There's a great horned owl, like the one on my right behind me here, tapestry. And there's a barred owl. And then there's so one of them got hit by a semi and had a broken wing, can't fly. So that's why they took it in, took care of it, and are keeping it in this pretty, I guess it's a good sized cage. It's a big cage. And then the other one got some broken wings somehow, and had to be amputated. And so they have that one in there. So, okay, that's 2 reasons to keep an owl in captivity. The third one they have outside is a turkey vulture. And on its little bio, it says its injury is it got imprinted by humans. It got imprinted on humans, meaning it started to depend on people for food. And that's real bad for your survival prospects, your chances of making it. That's the injury. It became dependent on people. And so I'm watching it, and I'm letting that soak in. Like, I mean, think about that. Okay, you got one owl that was hit by a semi and it lived. Fantastic. Okay, let's take care of this guy. Let's put him in a nice big cage and take care of him. He can attract people, bring them more awareness. Maybe these little kids, people haven't seen an owl up close. You can see the owl. The other owl, for some reason, had to have its wing amputated. It's not going to survive out in the wild. Same thing. Okay, well, it'll bring attention for conservation, and then the other one, its injury is it's imprinted on humans. Its wings are fine. So I'm letting that soak in, and I'm just trying to connect with this bird, and when I'm watching him, he spreads his wings out all the way, and then his head goes down a bit. So all I could see is this big wingspan, this big, beautiful bird. Do you think turkey vultures are beautiful? Well, they are. And I was wondering, because he stayed in that position with his wings spread for a long time. How long? I don't know. Minutes? A few minutes, maybe? And his head was down, and I was wondering, because he's like looking out over this reservoir, this big reservoir. It looks like, kind of looks like a natural lake, big lake, but it's not really, but it's pretty close. It's a big bunch of water. And he's looking out over that, and I'm wondering if he's not just pretending to fly over. Is he just pretending to be soaring hundreds of feet? How high do they fly? They can get up to 1,000 feet, right? A few thousand feet, maybe. And I'm gonna look that up actually real quick. Let's take an educational timeout. How high can turkey vultures fly?
According to Kern River Preserve, turkey vultures have been reported by aircraft pilots to rise to as high as 20,000 feet and soar for hours without flapping their wings.
20,000 feet. Imagine you have the capability to fly 20,000 feet. It says up to 200 miles in a day. Soar for hours without flapping their wings. Soar for hours without flapping their wings. And this one's in a cage for its own good. Assuming we'll take their word for it. I believe they care, and I don't think they would just trap some turkey vulture just for the hell of it. So when I was thinking of the show and I saw the picture that I took, first thing I did that day was the first picture I took was this amazing bird with its wings spread all the way out and nowhere to go. Except in his mind, maybe, right? Do you think that he was pretending to fly around? Was he just stretching out? I could see if he just did it for a second, it's like stretch out, like we just reach our arms out, and then put them back in and relax. But that's not what he was doing. So I saw that, and when I saw that, "Come Fly With Me" popped into my mind, and I knew where I was going with the show. I didn't have to think about it. It was an instant download, and I hope I can articulate the meaning in the way that I feel it. That's the tricky part on the show. The way I do things is I'm really trying to convey these messages that are very difficult but it's part of like the trying to explain. Sometimes when I finish, I was like, oh, I meant, oh, I should have added that, or I should have whatever. But it seems like he's stuck in this 10-foot high by, I don't know, maybe it's 10 feet high, 12 feet long, 10 feet wide thing, something like that. So there's nowhere to fly. He can move around, but he's not going to fly anywhere. Or just up 8 feet to his perch. 20,000 feet. Imagine you have the capability of flying 20,000 feet and you're in a cage. Well, and when I was thinking of the come fly with me, yes, I'm talking about the bird, but I'm not just talking about the bird. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about my friends. I'm talking about my friends that may be real strong, but they're not so good at something else, which is, it's what we all are. We all have our strengths, but we're not good at this. Maybe we're really good at, have this great education, know how to make money, good survival skills in that way. We can have these, I guess you would say, like modern survival skills and make money, but maybe not very physically strong. Maybe somebody has an illness. And they just can't fly like they used to be able to fly. They just can't fly like others of their species can fly. And that's what I'm talking about here. That's what I'm talking about. So they have to find their own way of flying, don't they? Maybe somebody has an illness and they're able to use their imagination in a way to fly. And maybe that imagination that they have, and they're using it for their paintings or their words that they write or their whatever kind of art that they're using to take people on a journey. Like, come fly with me. And I got the name. There was a Michael Jordan video, probably like 1990 or something like that. It was called Come Fly With Me. For some reason, 1988 popped in my mind, but I don't know if that's right. But somewhere around in there, there was I had the VHS tape, and it was Michael Jordan's Come Fly With Me. And I didn't take it as, well, I don't know how much I even thought about it at the time. But now when I'm thinking of it, I couldn't tell you much about it. I think it was like a dunk video, but not just that. It's not just like, hey, watch me, I'm this great basketball dunker, because that's important. Well, it can be very important. And it's really cool. It's an art. It's inspiring. That's what's come fly with me. That's how you go fly with Michael Jordan. You get inspired by him. Watch Michael Jordan dunk. There's never been anybody that's done this before. There's been people that were sort of paving the way. There was Dr. J. There was some other guys that were kind of like getting there, but not quite. And Michael Jordan comes along and blows everybody's minds. Whoa. I didn't know a basketball player could be all of that. We're down by 2 points. There's 2 seconds to go. Who are you going to throw the ball to? Michael Jordan. He missed a lot of those shots, thousands of them. Doesn't matter. You still throw him the ball. Think about that. Because he makes them too. And he's the guy that comes off as the leader, even though I'm not sure that he had that intention. Like, I'm going to be the leader. Everybody follow me. Michael Jordan was just doing what Michael Jordan does, and that's what happened. So that's how you go fly with Michael Jordan. You watch that video. It's so inspiring. You don't want to be a great basketball dunker. Maybe you're in a wheelchair. Maybe you got dealt a crappy hand as far as your physical attributes go. How are you going to fly? How are you going to fly? You can figure it out. You have to figure it out. So when I think, come fly with me, that's what I think. I want to look at somebody's art and it's transformational. And there's something about, I'm looking, I wrote something, my buddy Joey Lavelle, you've heard him on the podcast a few times. He was just on a couple weeks ago also. But like he posted some pictures on Instagram of our time today. And the first one on his post was of me with this stone over my head. This big, I don't know if at one time it was like part of a bridge or something like that, but it was like a man-made cement slab thing. And I had it over my head and I was getting ready to toss it. And the water is in front of me and my back was to the camera. I didn't even know he was taking the picture. I didn't know anybody was taking my picture. I didn't know. All I know is I saw this slab of cement that I wanted to pick up over my head and throw it. I didn't know he was going to take I didn't know anybody was going to take my picture. But I like taking pictures out there, and like I was saying before, I was taking some pictures, and I like taking the ones that like people didn't know I was taking them. Like Bronte, she's a photographer. I mentioned that, right? And so, like one of the pictures I took was like Ethan and Joey were walking across this log that was over this like ravine thing, and she was taking a picture of them, and so I got behind, and so I took a picture of her taking a picture of them. It's like, why bother taking a picture? What's a picture? What's the point of taking a picture? Shouldn't we just live in the moment? Is there something lost from taking that picture? Well, when you're in the act of taking the picture, you're in the moment. You're trying to capture that moment mainly for somebody else, or maybe you're at something where you want to capture this moment for yourself. Why? How many of the pictures that have you taken that you even bother looking at a month or two later or years later? Well, it can be pretty neat. I like looking back at pictures and it's interesting, like capturing these moments that they're worth hanging on to. We want to hang on to them because even though like we're all out there and having fun, it's almost like we know there's going to be times when looking at those pictures will be will create a better moment than whatever we're going through later. Otherwise, what's the point? If we're just going to be on this progressive fun track, what's the point of like, you see what I mean? But we don't know what we're going to get. We don't know what kind of illness there may be. We don't know what kind of tragedy might be right around the corner. There's just something about being out with this group of friends, and if you're in Indianapolis, join the Facebook group Indie Strength and Movement Community. I know most people that listen to this show are nowhere close to Indianapolis. If not, you create your own, and we just go out to the woods and we meet, and there's like over 100, and I think there's like 117 people in the Facebook group. And usually, like when we meet up, there might be 5 or 6 of us, or maybe there's 3, or maybe there's 2, or maybe there's 8, or whatever. But there's just something that just kind of like magical happens, and like we all get to fly. See, come fly with me. So, when that bird, its wingspan just about touches both sides of its cage if it's going like the short ways. If that's as close as it can get to flying, and it's in mind, well, then that's what you get. And then maybe you can just be there with that bird and go fly with that bird for a minute. And maybe don't take for granted your own flying capabilities. I think a lot of people keep themselves grounded. And I don't mean like the good kind of grounded. I mean that you can fly and you're keeping yourself grounded. In a world full of people, only some want to fly. Isn't that crazy? In a sky full of people, only some want to fly. Isn't that crazy? It's the Seal song, right? Are you in a community? Are you part of a community that encourages your flight? Spread your wings and fly. Are they encouraging that? What happens when you try? Do you get shut down, or do you get, or do all your fans stand up and clap? I'm lucky enough that I have the latter. People are trying stuff, they're clapping. we're encouraging. It's not competitive, or if there is like a slight competitive, it's like as healthy as it could be. It's not like, oh, I'm upset because Ethan can do handstands a lot better than me. But you can. You definitely can. But I'm not like jealous of it. I can look at it and be like happy about it. I feel like I'm gonna go fly with him. He's doing handstands. I might try him out for a little bit. I'm not so great at him. Do something else. So what holds you back from flying? Is it the people you're hanging out with? They keep you on a lower vibration. Maybe you're somebody that, once you get around your friends, you start drinking, smoking, and people are thinking that they're having fun, but really they're not. They're just drinking and smoking. Not that I have anything against drinking and smoking, but when it becomes the main event, uh, it's sad. So I don't think there's anything wrong if somebody wants to go see a concert and have a little smoke and a couple beers. I'm not saying that they should be ashamed of themselves or anything like that. That's not what I mean at all. I just mean when it becomes the main thing, that's where it gets sad. And maybe people are kind of intending for it to be more than that, and then what happens when somebody quits the drinking and smoking if it is like that. And it's kind of what happened to me. That is what happened to me. I had some friends. It's happened to me a couple times. There were two distinctive times. Last time was 7 years ago, about 7 years and 4 months ago. And I quit drinking and smoking weed. Haven't touched anything since. Um, and then another time was not too long after I was out of high school, maybe 20 years old or something like that, where um, I guess some of the people I won't say people I was hanging out with, that's not cool. Some of my friends were uh, I guess like once we got together, it was like not that we only got together to party, but that was like that's what we were doing. And so there was a time I had to kind of make a decision. Okay, I can't go hang out there anymore. And I didn't. And I'd still, in some, I moved to Indianapolis, and then so I got to know some new friends, and then, um, then it kind of got into the same thing where I was, partying with my friends, and then I had this experience 7 years ago where I've told the story on the show several times now, but I met this. I think she was an angel or a bodhisattva or some kind of being, and long story short, it was because of her that I quit drinking and smoking, and the day I decided to quit, I had my last half of a joint and my last beer. I didn't even finish it. I never saw her again, and looking back, never heard from her again. There was nothing, and I was driving a cab, and I was driving her to and from work pretty much 5 days a week. But it was this really weird experience. We were always talking about spiritual stuff, but anyways, after I quit, well, the message that I got from her as she was walking away for that last time, which I didn't know it was the last time. So we'd talk in my cab for a little while. Sometimes we talked for 20 minutes when I was dropping her off at her apartment. But the message that I got when she was walking away was, you got to be a magnet for what you want to attract. And I was able to see my potential. And it's super hard to explain these concepts and what she was to me. And even though I've told the story a bunch of times, I never quite get it right. I can never quite express how it was. I saw her every day for months. And then once that change happened, never heard from her again. It was very, very bizarre. I'm barely skimming the surface because I didn't want to get too deep into that. But so there are friends that I hadn't hung out with since. Friends that would call me because I used to have people coming over to my house we would do martial arts and lift weights, throw kettlebells around, and do all kinds of fun stuff. But we'd also have a little drink and a little smoke with it, and just hanging out and having fun. And it was like once I got rid of the drink and the smoke, hadn't heard anything since. Or shouldn't say I hadn't heard anything since, but haven't hung out since, really. So, but sometimes it could be maybe because people were moving away and this sort of thing. But so, are there people that you need to kind of walk away from so you can fly? I can tell you, once you make the decision, it can take a while to build up the new friends. But they'll be the ones you can fly with. And they'll be the ones when maybe you have a broken wing, they'll patch you up. And sometimes I look back or I'll see on my Instagram that an old friend hits, likes my post or something like that, and that's cool. There was one I won't mention because it's too hard to explain, but we do that. We like each other's stuff and tag each other and stuff when we want each other to see stuff. But it's been a long time since we hung out. But what's that like do when somebody likes your post? Well, to me, depending on who it is, maybe if it's somebody that used to be part of your everyday life, and then all you get is get that little button pushed. But that's a little shot of what's that do in the mind, though, right? Like get a little love from the old friend, and to me, it kind of means that, not kind of. To me, it means that all those things that happened, all those fun times, there's a picture of them that we can look back on in these later moments, right? When I was talking about that earlier, right? Why bother taking a picture? And I'm not just talking about taking a picture, because some of this is in a time when people weren't taking so many pictures of everything. But in a way, it's kind of like a nod to the good old days, and still here, haven't forgot all that. And maybe our paths don't intersect as much as they used to. It doesn't mean they have to go farther and farther apart. And why are we attracted to some people? Some people, like, and like the one I was talking about now, it definitely wasn't just a party buddy. He was a real friend. Um, but it's interesting what attracts us to people, and like just like to invite somebody if they want to go fly. And there's, I guess, part of might have been a little bit of the oil in my wings today. And like I have all these like cool things going on, and like everybody else, I have a couple difficult things going on too. It's like neither one of my kids are responding to me, and it's been a while. I just don't get it. And my daughter, she's pregnant. She'll have a baby in March. And I'm hoping that she can kind of, I don't know, remember things, see things differently. Sometimes people have just very different versions of the way things happen, don't we? And maybe a lot of times it's to make ourselves not seem like the bad guy. Oh, here's my version of the story. See, I'm not the bad guy. You're the one that's mistaken. If you were only as spiritually advanced as me, you'd understand, right? Don't we kind of do that? Everybody thinks they're the good guy. And in this situation, like talking about my daughter, I don't see like somebody's the good or the bad, and I don't say exactly what happened, but um, her, let's just say she was doing some things that I did not approve of. And once I found out about it, I was trying to help her out. And then she's basically saying she didn't like how I tried to help her out. I'll put it that way. And then it kind of changed a little bit till I yelled at her and my son when they were kids. And it's like, really? I mean, I probably did, but it wasn't like I'd get my kids on the weekends, and like all I want to do is have fun with them, take them out to the woods, go to movies, get them the food they want to eat, and just, so I always worked a lot. And so when I got to them, it was like this, I just wanted to relax and have fun with them, and that wasn't always in the cards. And my son's mom, she was always very difficult, and um, she would try to get. She gave my son when he was, God, he must have been 8. I don't know. It went on for a while, but she gave him like this tape recorder, like her phone or something. Like I don't even know, um, to to record me. So he would try to make me mad and then record me. And so like that was like his mission from her. And so he would do stuff, and like kids are kids. I'm not trying to like talk bad about him, but it was a situation that he was put in that was not fair at all. And so I'd pick him up, like, cool, let's go. We can go to the library and pick out some movies, or we can go to the movies. We can go out to the woods. Let's go to and it would just start getting, and not every time, but when he was sent on these missions to like record me, it was really terrible thing to do to him. But so what did I want to do? I want to pick him up and go flying, you know. And we had a lot of that too. We had that too. And I have pictures of those times, and so I can sit here now and if I start thinking of the rougher times, or in the midst of a rougher time, I can look back and see the better times with them. And I just don't get it. But I still try to get a hold of both of them regularly. Uh, um, he accepted my Instagram follow request, which I requested some time ago. Get the thing, the notification that he accepted it. I was like, that is awesome. Okay, great. So I send him a message on Instagram. I was like, oh, cool. I just got your follow request. How about do you want to meet up? I can show you the gym, or we can meet out and we can go out to the woods, or we can go. And there was no response. And then so I'm like looking at his Instagram and his, girlfriend that he has, and his buddies that he's hanging out with. And I'm looking at all this stuff, and he does these poses for the camera. He looks so much like me and my dad, and he poses for the camera like I did and just a lot of the same mannerisms and smile, and like I just want to be able to hang out and go flying, and nothing. But I get this thing that he accepted my follow request, and I was stoked, and I told a friend, and then when I got back a few days later on his Instagram, and I was probably looking at it every day for those few days, I noticed that I had to send another follow request. Like, what the fuck did I do? It just doesn't make any sense. But we got to keep rolling with the punches, don't we? And so then there's times like these, like, stuff that weighs on me pretty much every day, and it has been forever. But sometimes we can get out when we're feeling a little grounded, like the grounded in a bad way. And then we can get out with our friends and go fly to the best we can for that day. And a youth said, "Speak to us of friendship." And he answered, saying, "Your friend is your needs answered. He is your field which you sow with love and reap with thanksgiving. And he is your board and your fireside, for you come to him with your hunger, and you seek him for peace. When your friend speaks his mind, you fear not the nay in your own mind, nor do you withhold the a." That's worth repeating. I've read this so many times, and like there's different parts that stick out all the time. It's not even that long. It's not like but it's so deep. This is from Kilogrand's The Prophet. When your friend speaks his mind, you fear not the nay in your own mind, nor do you withhold the a. So what's that mean to you? So to me, it means you can either agree or disagree with whatever they have going on, and it doesn't matter. This is still your friend. There's nothing to like really argue about. You can say, "This is how I see things. How do you see things?" Okay. So I'm a vegan, and I have friends that are hunters, and we can talk about animals, and we can talk about. There's nothing to argue about. There's only things to understand better. Anyways. And when he is silent, your heart ceases not to listen to his heart. I like that a lot too. And when he is silent, your heart ceases not to listen to his heart. For without words in friendships, all thoughts, all desires, all expectations are born and shared with joy that is unacclaimed. When you part from your friend, you grieve not, for that which you love most in him may be clearer in his absence, as the mountain to the climber is clearer from the plain. And let there be no purpose in friendship save the deepening of the spirit, for love that seeks aught but the disclosure of its own mystery is not love but a net cast forth, and only the unprofitable is caught. That's a lot of chewing gum for the brain too. So for the love that seeks aught but the disclosure of its own mystery is not love, but a net cast forth, and only the unprofitable is caught. Do I understand this? For love that seeks aught but the disclosure of its own mystery is not love, but a net cast forth, and only the unprofitable is caught. Let that sink in a little while. One more time. For love that seeks aught but the disclosure of its own mystery is not love, but a net cast forth, and only the unprofitable is caught. And let your best be for your friend. If he must know the ebb of your tide, let him know its flood also. For what is your friend that you should seek him with hours to kill? Seek him always with hours to live. For it is his to fill your need, but not your emptiness. And in the sweetness of friendship, let there be laughter and sharing of pleasures. For in the dew of little things, the heart finds its morning and is refreshed. Here's something else from Khalil. That which seems most feeble and bewildered in you is the strongest and most determined. It is not your breath that has erected and is it not your breath that has erected and hardened the structure of your bones? Could you but see the tides of that breath, you would cease to see all else. Am I making sense with the flying? The little time I spent on, I don't know how much time I spent on, a little bit of the oil in my wings, and then get around some friends that are the Dawn, is that the dishwashing, the dishwashing and duck washing soap stuff, get the oil out of the ducks. Yeah. So sometimes I get to maybe I think maybe I'm getting like a little too sappy or something like that. But if you have, these thoughts about people, especially if it's the good ones, right, then it's probably best to express it. It's not always easy to pick up on how somebody feels about us, is it? If you're in, let's say there's a group of friends that you don't know very well, and there's a group message, there's something, and you're invited to. Are you going to go? You only met them once at this other friend's thing. That other friend isn't going to be there at this thing that you're, say it's a group message with 10 people. Oh, there's this thing going on. I'm having a get together. Do you want to come? And you're looking, and you met this guy one time. Oh, that chick, you've met her a couple times. You don't know anybody else, but you're invited to go. Do you go? You think they mean it? I've had that too, where I've get invited to these pretty much like a monthly sweat lodge, and like at first it was like they really want me to go. Is it really okay for me to go? I'd like to go. Is it really okay? They really want to hang out with me. Is it really okay if I go? It's these things going around in our mind. I'd say if they're the kind of people that you want to be around, go. I think it takes a little bravery. I think that group I was talking about, we can be a pretty dynamic group. Sometimes it might be mostly guys, and it's guys that are doing like some pretty wild stuff, and then a girl that just kind of like knows us through Instagram or Facebook, mutual friend or something, kind of shows up. And I'm not talking about one person. This has happened many times now, where it's like somebody that doesn't really know us shows up, no idea what to expect really. Here's this group of guys that goes and does this wild stuff out in the woods. I think it takes a little bit of guts and trust to do it. But it's really cool. It's a like the group of guys that I hang out with, and like the way we talk about women, it's a positive thing. And there's been guys that I've hung out with before, and sometimes the way they would talk, it's like, what? I don't get it. So how can you fly? How can you invite other people to fly with you? And I hope this show, I see the map of where this show is heard. People are listening all over the world. It blows my mind. 97 countries is the latest number that I saw, and it's probably more than that because that doesn't count YouTube. And it doesn't count some other things. And it's not just about how many countries, although once it hits, so I was trying to like count how many countries it was. I remember when it was like 13 countries. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And I told my girlfriend at the time, and she's like, well, it's the internet. So she wasn't real impressed by it being heard in 13 countries. And I kind of get that. I mean, you probably have Facebook friends that are in 13 countries, or on, Instagram followers from 13 countries or whatever. So, but to me, I'm like looking at this thing, this idea that I took from my head, and I'm putting it into the world, and it's working. And then I saw it go to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And then when it got into like 80 something, and then YouTube YouTube changed how they show you the analytics. So it only shows you like the top countries. So I think it had like the top 20 instead of the list of all of them. And even when I did have the whole list, I never compared it. I basically have analytics coming from two directions that are separate. I'm not too into it, but I never like try to combine them to figure out the exact number. But it's going to feel pretty cool when that number hits 100, and I can see the number 100. I think there's 170 countries in the world, 170 something. How many countries are on Earth?
195 countries. Here's a summary from Worldometers. There are 195 countries in the world today. This total comprises 193 countries that are member states of the United Nations and 2 countries.
Okay. So, depending on how you think about it, 193, 195. So the show's been heard in most of the countries on the planet. But I hope this show helps. I hope people like to listen to it. I've had a lot of awesome guests, and the idea is to explore my mind and help people explore their mind. Like give them ideas, and let's take on this little journey, this little meeting on the path. So, in closing, I would just say, send the message to your friend and say, come fly with me. Thanks for tuning in.